Psalm 14. The fool hath said in his heart, There is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good.
A number of atheists assert that they would believe in God if God presented clear and undeniable proof of his existence to them. These same atheists would have us believe in the purity of their intentions and the sincerity of their motives. However, if you think that, you are completely mistaken. The majority of atheists who participated in a recent poll stated that they would not yield their will to God, regardless of any evidence provided. Scripture consistently shows us that individuals reject God due to their unwillingness to align their will with a divine moral authority above them. Once again, the truth of the atheistic enterprise is exposed.
There are people who come to this debate with their minds already made up. There are people who want it not to be true, that God exists, and in fact wouldn't submit to that truth even if it were true. There was a recent poll run by the Atheist Experience YouTube channel, which I know, Jonathan, you're a fan of, which asked, if there was a God, would you worship it? To which an astonishing 85% of respondents said that they would not.
Do you believe in God? Do you believe in Jesus Christ?
No. Irrevocably not. I believe that the Godhead resides within oneself. I believe that man creates gods in accordance with his own needs. And if he doesn't, someone else will create them for him.
Well, first I think it's important to understand that we are an atheistic religion. We're non-theistic in any case. And that's to say that we do view the religious context we frame our works in and our little subculture in is not dependent on a belief in a literal Satan.
Yeah, I think the aspect of Satanism that most appeals to me is the fact that while it is essentially atheism, it also incorporates magic in a sense where we ritualize.
I do not believe in an actual, as I said, as an actual entity. Okay, we are atheists, at least as far as the Church of Satan is concerned, are the opposite of Christianity. We are in every manner, shape, and form completely opposed to the 2,000-year-old philosophy of alienation and weakness. We are here, we're not going away, and Christianity and the day of the cross are done.
Okay. Well, because we don't believe in God, the devil, heaven, or hell. We follow the laws of nature, and we think that whatever we do with our lives will be rewarded for it here and now. And we don't think that after death there will be some sort of punishment or reward.
Okay, you don't believe in Satan as a being?
No.
What is Satan to you?
It's something that's symbolic. It just represents the adversary. We use the name Satan because it's fun, it's stimulating. Satan's sort of the ultimate
adversary
rebel.
In what sense?
Historically, Satan has been the adversary, but just the adversary of all Judeo-Christian values, the adversary of democratic values, is more of values that are found in nature, life, law.
But you don't worship him?
No, it's been said that we worship ourselves, but we put ourselves first. We're in the center of our world.
You don't actually believe in Satan, do you?
Right, we're not devil worshippers, we're Satanists. We start off being atheists and then decide that we are our own gods, the center of the universe. And so Satan for us is a symbol of freedom, liberty, and pride, which we think is a wonderful thing.
We feel that all religions are coming around to Satanism. We're in the very throes of a new satanic age. The evidence is all around us. All we have to do is look at it. There's a new title for Christians called Christian atheists. And of course many movements such as the Unitarian Church have existed for a while in what would amount to a form of atheism in evening clothes. And we feel that there's no reason why these people shouldn't just flip the coin completely over and simply call themselves what religion has called them for many, many years. Call them devil worshippers, or disciples of evil, or Satanists. Of course, it's very hard for a person to hang an uncomplimentary label on themselves, and for this reason, for many years, there will be people practicing Satanism as good Christians or other religions, and they will instinctively pursue the very same things that we are, as they always have. So we feel the greatest sin of all is self-deceit. This is a very selfish religion. We believe in greed, we believe in selfishness, we believe in all of the lustful thoughts that motivate man, because this is man's natural feeling. This is based on what man naturally would do. We feel guilt is a necessary thing, not necessary that it's practiced at all times, but we're stuck with it. We have it in our collective unconscious. We have a certain amount of feeling of apprehension for things we've done, because we're taught from childhood not to do certain things. Any attempt to sort of scrape the psyche clean is only going to make us much more, and certainly much more fraught with frustrations and tensions. So what we've done is just reverse the procedure. Instead of trying to free ourselves, we've taken all these hang-ups, we've turned them into useful situations. If you're going to be a sinner, be the best sinner on the block. If you're going to do something that's naughty, do it. And realize that you're doing something naughty and enjoy it.
Why do Muslims believe in Jesus? Buddhists believe in Jesus? Even Satanists believe in Jesus?
Well, Satanists don't. Satanists are actually atheists.
Why do they use the word Satan?
Because it messes with Christians and then they get really mad.
Really?
Yes. Satanists don't even believe in Satan. They don't believe in Jesus. They don't believe in Christ. In the end, it's community.
What? Isn't it crazy how the devil can literally convince a group of people to follow him, worship him, dress like him, do rituals onto him, but then convince them that he's not real? That is literally strategy. These people are claiming not to believe in Satan, but they worship him and they do everything he asks them to do. That is called deception. That is called lies, and that is called killing and destroying. The devil is a liar, and he's lied to even his own people.
Some of the books now being distributed to students in a Colorado school system are troublesome, not because they come from diverse groups, but for their content, according to the school district. Here with the latest on this story, CBN News first brought you a week ago, is Candy Cushman with Focus on the Family. Welcome, Candy.
Thank you.
What have you learned about these materials since our first report?
Well, I've learned that the school appears to be really trying to take a reasonable and a responsible approach, and that they have limited some of these materials to high school.
Now, why have they limited some of the materials to high school? What's your understanding of that?
Well, it's really kind of amazing. Some of the materials that these atheists and left-wing groups had tried to get in had pictures, just horrible pictures, for example, of a young woman being groped by a scary-looking Bible, a pamphlet about abortion, and it really just seems so unnecessary. I mean, why take this inflammatory approach? It seems designed for shock value. It doesn't really seem like it's trying to encourage real discussion and civil discussion.
Classical atheists declare there is no God, so they must have an alternative way to explain existence without a supernatural creator. And the only option for them is some form of evolution. No matter what you call it, Darwinian evolution, neo-Darwinian evolution, chaos theory, punctuated equilibrium, etc. It's the concept that everything came about through naturalistic processes. And that is the foolishness the psalmist speaks about. Atheos, no God. Atheists, many claiming that they're open-minded, rational, or logical, live inside a mental paradigm called naturalism, and they don't think outside that box, so to speak. So, all thinking atheists must believe in evolution. That is their main folly.
From a Christian perspective, I'd sit here and say, okay, well then, what is Bill's purpose in life? And I'd go down some of these roads to say, on atheism, well, how do you invent this?
We talked about the evolutionary argument against naturalism.
Yes.
By Alvin Plantinga, where if we're evolved just to survive and it's kind of a random chance sort of thing, not any plan, how in the world can we trust our brains? How can we trust our moral judgments? And Christians are right. And we had Frank Turek on the show, and he wrote a book, Stealing from God.
Yep.
So he says atheists steal from Christian morality. And he has a good point, because we grew up in a Christian nation. We have Christian values. I had a huge Christian influence. So we can't help but be influenced by that. So existentially, it's a problem with how do we get our morals and values, because if we are involved, we just are poor judges for morality or finding evidence out.
So is it whoever can persuade the people the best, and whoever's the strongest, or whoever gets the most influence, their morality
and personality? You know, everybody loved Christopher Hitchens because he was so witty. So a lot of times, you know, we've done studies, is the more attractive people they listen to and believe more.
Right.
So there's all sorts of these biases. It's called confirmation bias, where we tend to confirm our things we believe in and want to believe, but we're bad at disconfirming evidence, looking for disconfirming evidence that's against our beliefs. And that's the key, is to go and read the other side. Look at the books that are against your point. Like Stephen Meyer we were talking about.
Right.
One of
His new Return of the God Hypothesis.
Great book. And he discusses the DNA enigma, which is a real problem. The beginning of life, the origin of life, is a huge problem for us, because you have the chirality problem with these amino acids having to all be left-handed.
Yep.
And you have the enzymes. Well, if you don't have those, these reactions aren't going to work out a lot of times. So, but it's a protein. So how do you get the DNA to make the protein? And DNA is a protein. And how do you just get it even off the ground?
See what I mean about he's a little bit more honest on we got problems. I'm tempted to say, just start listening to some of the more problems you guys have. You got a problem coming up with morality. You got a problem coming up with light.
Oh,
you got
absolutely.
A problem coming up with, do you see the problem with coming up with a universe in the first place? Like, where did everything come from?
Oh,
Huge
absolutely.
problem.
I was just reading today about the strong nuclear force. If you don't have, well, yeah, protons, opposites repel each other.
Right.
But in the nucleus of the atom, they actually are tight because of the strong nuclear force. And it holds the electrons, the quarks, or not the electrons, but the quarks inside the protons and stuff, the up and down quarks and so forth. So just from the get-go, you've got a huge problem. Also,
I love hearing this.
One of the huge other problems is right from the beginning, the singularity expands. You have inflation where it expands really quickly. And we can wind, the universe is expanding more rapidly as it goes out. But if you wind it back, you can get to, they say you get to the first minute. And so here's the problem, is when the universe expands, if it goes too fast, then galaxies will form, which means we will form, Earth will form. If it goes too slow, if that cosmological constant isn't just right, and the mass isn't just right, then it's going to just collapse into a black hole. So right from the very start, you've got this expansion rate that has to be precisely fine-tuned, as does these other things like the gravitational constant, 10 to the 60th. That's
how fine-tuned.
Oh, and the cosmic,
yes,
it's like a dial on a radio where it cannot go. And Luke Barnes said that if these things aren't right, you'll just have protons floating in the universe.
You could even get protons. I mean, even protons would be...
Yeah, how do they come here?
Right. I mean, if amino acids, like to start with amino acids, and you got to have them all left-handed, and you got to have at least 20 in a row, all left-handed.
Or different combinations,
Right. Yeah. Like, wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And these proteins have to be folded certain ways, too. It's one problem after another.
Morality that's relative to circumstances is not moral relativism. Hi, I'm Tim Barnett, and today we're applying some red pen logic to an Instagram post from the Evolved Primate. Class is in session. This is Red Pen Logic with Mr. B, where we help you assess bad thinking by using good thinking, plus we try to have some fun in the process. In today's example, the Evolved Primate offers an argument against objective morality and for subjective morality. The post reads, morals are objective? I disagree. For every immoral action, there exists a scenario where that action becomes moral. A killer asks you where your family is. Is it immoral to lie to save them? Morals are subjective. Notice the logic. If morality is dependent on the situation, then morality must be subjective. All right, it's time to red pen this primate. The Evolved Primate seems a bit puzzled on what it means for morality to be subjective. So let's define some terms. Pay very close attention here because lots of little primates get confused on this. Subjective morality, also called relativism, is the view that morality is based on what some particular person believes. On this view, what is right and what is wrong depend completely on the individual or the subject. That's why they call it subjectivism. On relativism, premarital sex may be wrong for me, but the exact same behavior might be right for someone else. Now here's the payoff. Listen closely, you little primates. In subjective morality, right and wrong depend completely on the individual subject. But in objective morality, by contrast, contrast, right and wrong do not depend on the individual subject, but on the individual situation. The evolved primate has actually confused morality that's relative to situations, objectivism, with morality that's relative to subjects, relativism. When Mr. Primate says that morality is always relative to situations, he's right. But that's moral objectivism, not moral relativism. The evolved primate has confused the definition of relativism with the definition of objectivism. Whoopsie. The evolved primate's example actually demonstrates his mistake. He offers a moral dilemma in the form of a question. A killer asks you where your family is. Is it immoral to lie to save them? The dilemma is, if you tell the truth, your family will be killed. Bad. But if you protect your family, you'll have to lie. Also bad. But wait, if morals are subjective, as Mr. Primate says, then there is no dilemma. The answer to the question is simple. If you think it's immoral to lie, then it is for you. If you think it's more moral to protect your family, then it is for you. There is no dilemma on relativism, because whatever you choose is right for you. For the moral relativist, both options are equally legitimate because there is no objective right or wrong decision. For the moral objectivist, though, there is a right response and a wrong response in this particular situation. Yes, it's wrong to lie to protect a thief from the police, but it's right to lie to protect your family from a killer. And this is true for anyone facing the same situation. In subjectivism, the subject gets to decide what's right and wrong, and he's always right by definition. In objectivism, it's the objective circumstances that determine what's right and wrong. See the difference? The evolved primate has mistaken objective morality for subjective morality. Is it always wrong to lie? Well, it depends. Not on the subject, that's relativism, but on the objective situation. That's objectivism. So what have we learned? First, objective morality always depends on the situation or circumstances. Relativism is when right and wrong depend on or are relative to the person. Second, moral dilemmas based on circumstances, like the example given by Mr. Primate, always demonstrate objectivism, not subjectivism. Third, if we ought to save our family from a killer, then morality is objective, not subjective. The evolved primate thinks his ethical dilemma illustrates subjective morality. Ironically, it illustrates just the opposite. Class dismissed.
So you're asking a question of, why do we need objective morality? Well, or what specifically?
Yeah, so not necessarily why we need objective morality, but you seem to be, because obviously I don't believe that it's a thing, but you seem to make the claim that
do you believe that absolutely?
No.
Okay, good.
But
you're consistent.
Yeah. The big thing is for me, even if I have a God, there is no thing telling me, it's just like the is-ought problem, right? That's like my big contention, right? How am I ever going to derive a claim about what I should do from only statements about the nature of being?
Got it. So you would believe murder's wrong?
Yeah.
Why do you believe that?
Because in its definition, it says it's wrong, right? It's wrong killing of somebody, or at least that's my understanding of it.
Okay, so for example, you go to an African village, happens all the time. They leave a full-born baby by the fire. They don't want it. They discard it. Happens tons of times. Any missionary will tell you that. They just discard babies. Why? They don't believe it's wrong. It's just in their code and custom. No one feels bad about it. Just discard kids you don't want. Are they wrong?
For me, yeah, they're wrong. Yeah. It's a bullet I do have to bite from my worldview.
Hold on. Are they objectively wrong? Is it objective?
No. Because I don't believe in objective morality. So that can apply to any statement.
So it's not objectively wrong to leave a full-born baby by the fire and just say, you're on your own, have a nice life.
Well, yeah, I'm calling into question objective morality, so I obviously have to bite
I know.
that
I'm
bullet.
just trying to make you hear back how insane what you are saying.
Well, you're making a claim about the objectivity of it. You're not making a claim about whether it's wrong. Obviously, I think it's wrong.
Let's get more graphic. So you put 1,000 Jews in a gas chamber, and the Nazis thought what they were doing was good, and they pressed the button. Were they right or were they wrong in gassing millions of Jews?
Objectively, you can't, when you say, is it objectively wrong? Hold on, wait. If you say it's objectively wrong, you're implying that you can derive a truth value from it. And I don't think you can. So I don't think that you can make a true statement regarding whether something's good or bad.
Got it. So just to be clear, the Nazis could have been right in their actions, in your view.
That implies that right is an actual thing. I don't believe you can determine a truth value from a moral claim.
So the Nazis were not objectively evil?
Yeah, I've said that 4 times. You can't derive objective moral statements from things. I'm not saying they're not wrong. They are wrong. Oh.
Well, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, I just want to make sure this is important, because what you are saying, and you're saying it very clearly, is that we look at the Holocaust and it's just a matter of opinion.
yeah, that's kind of the problem of being an atheist. You have to bite the bullet.
I don't know why religious people don't get this. I mean, it's pretty obvious. You know, people are intrinsically moral. Religious or not, they have some sense of what's right or wrong. And that may well be due to their upbringing, but I also think that there is some of that's innate, that's biological. Where do I get my morals from? Well, I look at situations and I, try to reflect on what I think is the right thing to do. So they come from me, basically. The golden rule, do unto others as that you would have them do unto you, whatever. That holds a lot of water. Obviously, that's something that's used by most religions, but it's not something that they've invented by any means. So yeah, my morals come from me. They don't come from me being worried that some sky god is going to come down and kick my ass. And this is not a new argument. I mean, this is an argument that's stated in books by Dawkins and Hitchens and other people. It's not a new argument.
If a brother and a sister loved each other and used contraception, is there something absolutely morally wrong about that? And that, by the way, and it was once, and they went off, and it didn't affect anything else. I'd have to think about it.
You're absolutely right. I can see no reason at all why these two sisters shouldn't marry if they want to.
So.
How many guys do you reckon you tricked into believing that you were born a woman when you were trans?
I think about 50 people, 50 guys.
You tricked them into having of you presenting as a woman?
Well, you can call it tricked, but in my train of thought at the time, I was just so adamant on the fact that why should I have to tell guys that I'm trans before I sleep with them? Like, why is it that important? But then once I came out as trans and realized how much it had traumatized about 5 guys that I was getting threats from, I then realized, wow, what was I doing? Like, I was doing it wrong. But because I never had trans women around me to really educate me and tell me what to do.
Wait, was you just thinking, if I don't tell him, doesn't ask, then
who cares? Like, how will they ever know? Because I wasn't going to come out as trans. If I never came out as trans, nobody would ever know.
So they can't tell once they have you?
No. There's one guy that could tell. I don't know how, but maybe he slept with other trans women, but he was...
Or maybe you just turned the lights on for that one.
Like, is it something you want to tell me? And I was like...
What, was he inside you when he said that?
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean? No. He was like, are you sure? And he just carried on, and then he come, and then we chilled for a bit, and then he left.
Well, so you don't know if he actually knows.
He knew, that's what he was talking about.
He realised once he was inside.
I reckon he probably knew anyway, and he was like, do you want to tell me? Because if you do, then I'll respect you more. But at the time, I was exploring myself. I used to get guys over from Tinder loads.
The scariest part about this, outside of the straight up sexual assault that this person is committing, is that she said that because I didn't have other trans people around me, how could I have known? All forms of logic and accountability have officially left the trap. Blaming other people for what you should morally have an obligation to understand is wild work. Up to this point, I didn't realize that trans women are avoiding accountability like Superman avoids kryptonite as well. But this is full-on deception. You absolutely trick them. And if you trick people, they cannot fully consent because they're consenting under a false pretense.
Lesbian, gay and bisexual Americans are by some measures less religious than heterosexual or straight adults, according to a new analysis of data from Pew Research Center's 2014 Religious Landscape Study.
Imagine holding to the atheist position where you're forced to believe this.
I work with murderers and pedophiles all the time. I have a least favorite pedophile.
Are they wrong?
He's very annoying. Yes. They're absolutely wrong. They are absolutely wrong. Or they are technically intersubjectively wrong.
So they're not absolutely wrong?
No, because it's all a conversation.
So the debate's over, friends.
They are intersubjectively wrong.
So you admit, Mr. Anderson, that they are not absolutely wrong. The Green River Killer is not absolutely wrong. Ted Bundy is not absolutely wrong. Child rapists are not absolutely wrong. and you came to debate that your worldview provides a foundation for ethics?
Atheists are so desperate to hold on to their position that they will go to these lengths to deny what is obvious to even a child.
Can I ask about the false morals thing here? Sure. So you got the thing about God killing 12,000 people.
No, just God ordering the death.
Right.
Not.
Correct. Yeah. So do you believe in absolute truth or no?
I do not.
You don't. So so would you say that rape is wrong?
Yes.
Is it absolutely wrong?
Define absolutely.
Is it wrong under every circumstance?
From my perspective, yes.
If a person doesn't think that there is a God to be accountable to, then what's the point of trying to modify your behavior to keep it within acceptable ranges? That's how I thought anyway.
I found 10 different lists from different sources, each claiming to be the top 10 best countries in the world to live in for 2022. I compared all 10 lists, and I then made my own top 10 from them, from the ones that come up again and again. For example, Switzerland, Sweden, Canada, followed by Germany, Australia, and Denmark, Norway, Finland, Japan, New Zealand, the UK, and USA. Every one of the top 10 best societies in the world is considered secular, but not one Muslim country ever made it to anyone's top 10.
So we could say, based on your list, that black and Hispanic societies are inferior.
No.
That's the list. Your list didn't have any Hispanic countries. It didn't have any black countries.
I think it actually did. But
Which one?
I'd have to go back over the whole thing.
I think part of the difficulty I have with disagreeing with the fact that the universe is not unlimited is the fact that the inference therefore leads me to the fact that there is something outside which is created.
Thank you very much.
No, so.
But Sammy, I understand what you're saying, Sammy. I hear what you're saying. But I do want to say this to you. What you've just said there, seriously, uncovered for me the psychological reasoning as to why you're giving this argument such a scrutinous kind of assessment. The reason why you're doing it is not because of the value or the strength of the argument. It's exactly because of what you've said. You've just said, if you think about what you just said, you said that the reason why I don't want to grant you this premise is because it will necessitate an external independent force. That is not a reason. So in other words, you don't believe because you don't want to believe.
No.
That's exactly what it means.
Some people think God created the universe. Some people think nothing created the universe. Which is the funniest guess? And the nothing people make fun of the God people. They say God doesn't exist. I'm like, okay, maybe. But you know what definitely doesn't exist? Nothing. That's the defining characteristic of nothing, is that it doesn't exist. So what are we talking about? Either you think it's God, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove, or you think it's nothing, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove. But I think we can all agree, if your nothing sometimes spontaneously erupts into everything, that's a pretty goddamn magical fucking nothing, you guys. And ask the nothing people, what happens when you die? They'll tell you, nothing. You go into nothing. I'm like, you mean you merge back with your creator? That's heaven, bitch.
And everyone else is still in the cult of Satan. It is a cult of Satan because every single atheist is a short, blue hair, loony, screaming. Because like, it can't be a cult of Satan because atheists don't believe in Satan, blah, blah, blah. Now, if there is just one thing that proves that these people were right all along and atheism is a cult of Satan, it is how quickly atheists are happy to adopt an anti-scientific worldview if it furthers the work of Satan himself. That was the big cry of the atheists years and years ago.
The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity.